Okay. Well, maybe this one worked. Seems like we are live. So, thank you so much for joining me here. Welcome to the show. This is the Internet Morning Entrepreneur. First and foremost, thank you so much for joining us here. Today, we're getting ready to pop some popcorn in the driveway. We're going to try and grind that out all day. But first things first, we're going to talk here a little bit this morning. I'll get some good photos of the setup outside, and I think today all I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a little bit of cold outreach, because I was trying to think of things that could be productive, that could motivate people to go off and do what they need to do, and also meanwhile this certainly wouldn't hurt me either. So I think cold outreach is a good way to go. And if you don't know, basically cold outreach is if you've never met somebody, it's like a cold call. You're just basically hitting them up out of the blue, saying, hey, is there anything I can do to make your life easier, bring you some value? So we're going to try that. And I know I have a few things going on, so I would like to do some cold outreach for the construction company. But I think I'm going to start with the popcorn because that's kind of top of mind right now. So all I'm going to do is I like doing orchard markets and breweries. So let's try, you know what, I really haven't talked to any wineries. And I know there's a lot of wineries around me. So let's see what we got here. Hidden Hills Farm and Vineyard. So let me, I will screen share here if you guys would like. Let's see here. Lovely. Okay, so here we are on the wine tasting in the heart of Frederick County. Lovely. I think I actually do know where this place is. I think I have seen that. Okay, so let's try. We're looking for probably the contact us page is probably going to be my best bet. But we also hope, so there's an email us button. And we're looking for a decision maker of some sort. So definitely wouldn't hurt to go in here with a bag of popcorn. That's probably the best way to go. Realistically, with the popcorn, the best way is just walk in with a bag and say, hey, will you try this? And, there's something with, being given a gift, even if it's like the slightest, even if the popcorn retails for $8. So let's just, at absolute maximum value, it's an $8 gift. Or if you give them 2 bags, 16. People are still just like blown away by getting anything. So definitely, what I really should do here is just bring in 2 bags of wine, and you'd be extremely surprised if you have any type of product like that. I think about this all the time, and I basically lucked into this. Like I stumbled on this when I started doing the popcorn. Because I realized that, no matter what, realistically, the popcorn cost me, $1.50, $2 a bag to create. If you factor in time, maybe I'm a little teeny bit over that per bag, depending on the day. But still, very solid margin on popcorn. That's why I just think it's crazy to me that company I went to yesterday or 2 days ago, actually, was selling, less than a third of what I have in a bag for more than I sell it for. Just like, good Lord, y'all must be working on some crazy margins. But anyway, so that's what I really love about the popcorn. Truly, is like, I have no problem at all giving it away, and I'm big time on being able to, not like not necessarily just give stuff away for the sake of getting business, um, but I don't know, like it really brings goodwill towards you as soon as you give. People really want to reciprocate that giving, and I don't want to sound selfish. I never, you don't want to give in the expectation of somebody returning something to you, but I just want you to understand that if you are giving with, if you're giving genuinely and you're not just trying to get something out of it, you would just be blown away with how many people reciprocate or want to help you, or whatever it is. And they'll have a warm spark warm spark they'll they'll have a warm spot in their heart for you and your product, probably for the rest of their lives. So give that a try. There's actually a really, really good book that I just read. I listened to on Audible actually recently. It's called The Go Giver, and it fit my personality like to a T. It was pretty funny because I've been living like that for a long time, just being a very open, giving person, and really good stuff. I definitely highly recommend it. He can articulate what I'm trying to say here very well. And one of the key things that I do think that I'm lacking in the last chapter of his book, basically the book walks you through, there's, he's got 3 different very successful business people, and basically somebody's like kind of taking a mentorship, a week-long mentorship with a very successful entrepreneur. And, he goes through and meets a bunch of people, all these entrepreneurs, and they're giving him the core rules to entrepreneurship, but it focuses mainly on being very open to giving, and the more you give, the more you end up receiving, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I've just never really heard it put like that, so I really enjoyed that book. But the very final chapter was actually one of my favorites because I have no problem giving at all. I love it, and I love to always be like, "Oh, here, have this. Take this for free. Try a bag. Blah blah blah." I love that. Not just with popcorn, with everything, with my time, with things that I do. I'm just very giving. But the last chapter talked about being, if you're gonna be so open and willing to give, you also have to be willing to receive as well. And that really hit me because, I play back things in my head where, I still feel extremely guilty accepting anything for free or anybody's time or anybody's help or anything like that. I don't want to be a burden on anybody, and I don't want them to put themselves out. So that chapter, like, it really struck me because I'm like, man, I am extremely open to giving. Now, why am I so opposed to receiving? Because I don't want people to think that they need to give me charity, or, I want to show that I can do all this on my own. So I really had to do some soul searching because I've thought back on conversations where people are like, "Hey, let me do this for you," and I'm adamantly opposed to it. When the shoe's on the other foot, and I'm saying, "Hey, let me do this for you," I'm never thinking like, "Oh, I'm doing this because this dude, this is a charity case. He needs some help or whatever." I'm doing this because I care about the person, I like the person, and I want to do something for them. It would bring me joy to do something for them. And so, that just really struck me reading that because I'm like, dang, it's just something I never thought about. So think about this morning, like, are you open to receiving as well if you're open to giving? And if you're not open to giving, I highly recommend starting, giving. And we're kind of off on a tangent, but who cares because nobody watches anyway. But so basically, the reason that I really, really like popcorn, and I started this thought but I didn't finish it, but basically the reason I really love popcorn is because, like, it's such a low cost product, that, like, people just love the fact that any type of discount and all, if you give somebody a discount on your product, they think they're getting a great deal, And I mean, subconsciously, I hate to say it, but subconsciously they feel like they're indebted to you in some way, shape, or form, which, is kind of a byproduct. You don't, I mean, don't play on people. Don't like, you know, definitely don't do that. Don't have the mentality of like, oh, I took $2 off a bag of popcorn, now you owe me. Like, that's crazy. Don't be that guy for sure. But that's just kind of the way that it works. If somebody gives you a deal on something or whatever, you just feel good. You just feel better leaving the place like, oh man, like, great guy. And I don't know. It's something to explore. And if you haven't yet selected what business you're going to get into, I at least like where I started at here with the popcorn, because popcorn's giving me these opportunities that, like, I can find people I want to talk to. I can give them totally free product. They can try the product, and then we can build a relationship, and I can meet the people that I want to meet. And even outside of like actually trying to sell more popcorn, when I was working for American Exteriors, uh, you know, I would make batches of popcorn. I'd throw an American Exteriors label on it, and I'd just say, "Hey, I do this on the weekends. Let me introduce myself." You know, because I also do construction things. Here's a bag of popcorn. Like, it's just something that, kind of starts the wheels in motion of a conversation. So anything like that you can do, if you like to bake, figure out how you can, make a cup of coffee, anything, anything small that's not going to cost you a ton of money, but you are, very inclined to be able to just give away and share your product and your passion with people. Try and find that product, and maybe popcorn's it. Just stay away from Frederick County here. but but no, I mean, it's just such a good kind of like bridge of conversation, and you're already off on a good foot when you brought them. Because I mean, again, sorry, the popcorn's the example here constantly, but people love that stuff. Like, they really love popcorn. It's like it brings up really, really warm memories. So you're off on such a good foot because you've given this gift of like just basically joy. And you know, just a really good way to start. So rack your brain and see if there's something that fits in with your life that's like this really, really, easy thing to do. Maybe not necessarily easy, but like just a thing that you can give away and you have no problem giving away. And so rack your brain. Low barrier to entry, cheap product you can give away, brings people joy. Even like if you did breweries, if you did wine, anything like that, give away little airplane bottles, that type of deal. Give away one bottle of beer. Like, just give your product away. It sounds stupid, but it's totally worth it. And I've almost talked myself out of doing the cold outreach for this type of stuff, for the popcorn, because that is the one business that I'm currently running. Like, with the construction industry, it's not like I can go and be like, hey, so I brought my 5-gallon bucket here and my paintbrush, and I'm going to do this wall. I'm going to paint this wall. Or, I'm going to put a coating on your basement, and I'm going to coat the basement floor, but only half of it. And you're going to see how good it is, and you give me a shout if you want me to do the other half. It's not really viable. That's definitely not a thing. Nobody's going to go for that. So it is nice to have, like, even if it's a side business that you want to jump into, it's really nice to have, like, this very low barrier to entry product. I think this is my first time harping on this show, but I will point out that my keys for entrepreneurship, as far as starting a business, where I was, because throughout my entrepreneurship and my career as a whole, even not as a business owner, but just working in general, I haven't necessarily had a direction or something. Like, I have things that I'm passionate about, but I know the things that I'm passionate about are going to take a long way to build up to. So I knew in order to get there, like, I need a lot of money to be able to provide the things that I want to provide, like the rooftop gardens for those people in need, and like being able to help my community and serve these ideas. They require a lot of money to get together. So I always knew my goal was to just generate income, and be a business owner. I knew I couldn't make anywhere near the money that I wanted to make doing the 9 to 5. So basically, my only goal was like, all right, find a way to make money. You don't have to necessarily be super duper passionate about it. Find a way to make money now so you can, start those businesses and companies that you are super passionate about down the line, because realistically it's not happening without the startup capital. So the businesses that I seeked out or looked for, as I started was, and maybe this really just started out of necessity, and then I realized like, oh, this is a really good way to go about it for people that may be looking to get into the same thing. Low barrier to entry businesses. I mean, it's just key. It's like there's no way I could have done what I did, and I think so many people are getting bogged down by like, it's gonna cost me $50,000 to get my idea off the ground, or it's gonna cost me $200,000 to do all the things that I need to do. Like, certainly some businesses cost 50, 200,000, even more than that to get off the ground and get started. If you were in a position like I was in, where you're working the 9 to 5, you really have no savings to speak of. I maybe had like, I don't know, maybe $5,000, and I think that's probably a stretch. Um, but if you're in that position where you're basically paycheck to paycheck, no savings, you want to start a business, but you won't do it because it's going to cost you $50K to get going. And I think number one, you need to take a hard look at, is this really going to cost you $50K, or can you start this business without, whatever it is that you need to spend $50K on? Because I think, a lot of times you're running the numbers and it's like, okay, in a perfect situation, I'll have, these 5 pieces of equipment, and, I'll be able to spend $10,000 on my advertising, and, I'm going to need to hire an employee. But a lot of times you can kind of cut the fat. You don't need an employee right off the bat. You can start the same business with, only the 3 most essential pieces of equipment. There's often options of renting things and renting other people's spaces that are in the same business as you. There's a ton of different options. So just be aware that, there's ways to start businesses, and don't be scared off that like, oh, this might cost me $50,000 to get off the ground, because a lot of times it's not going to cost you that amount of money. But the point is, when I'm starting out here, and I know that the businesses that I want to start are going to cost, lots and lots of money. So I decided I needed to find these low barrier to entry businesses. So like the popcorn thing, that cost me like $1,200 really to get started, and that was including all the equipment, the kettle, the business licenses, the insurance, everything that I needed. Now, over the course of this business, I've spent way more than that, because I've grown, I've added equipment, I bought the trailer, I bought a whole new kettle setup, I bought another tray, I've just bought a bunch of stuff throughout, going, and signs and blah, blah, blah. And so I've got thousands of dollars in it now. Still not like I'm like, I definitely don't have $100,000 into it or anything like that, but I've got a good couple of $1,000s sunk into it at this point. But there's no problem doing that now, because the business is more than, making my money back. So my initial $1,200, 1,200 might even be, but it doesn't matter. Let's just say it was $1,500. The initial $1,500 that I dropped on this has come back to me many, 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 many times over. And so now, now I'm in the spot where I can spend additional money to help the business keep growing and do what I want to be, do what I want with the business. So yeah, I mean, I look for low barrier to entry businesses. And another good example is the coffee company. When I did the drop shipping coffee, very low barrier to entry. That was like, a couple $100 to start that. Fairly straightforward process. And then basically it was just selling and advertising, that was the key to success there. And so it's stuff like that. You need to look for these. If your business is too expensive to get into, then I'm telling you, low barrier to entry businesses, under 2 grand. If that's where you're at, just, you need to make an assessment of your financial life. And your low barrier to entry may be a lot higher than my low barrier to entry. But at the time, and still now, I mean, again, I'm not killing it here, but I'm making money and I'm building the life that I want to build. And, I'm not having to deal with a 9 to 5 every day. So that in and of itself is a huge blessing. And I think that like just totally changes your mentality into like a happier state of mind. You don't have somebody breathing down your neck all the time, and nobody's in charge of your time or your day. It's awesome, but at the same time, it is a little. Somebody has to be in charge of your time and day, and that somebody's got to be you. So you got to make sure you're disciplined enough to do the things you need to do consistently. Because if you're going to leave your 9 to 5 and then just not do anything, then you're screwed, and you might as well just work. So you still have to be productive and do the things you need to do. But I highly doubt you'd be listening to this if you weren't that guy or that girl. But anyway, so I've totally talked myself out of this, and I really didn't have too much to do this morning. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do some cold outreach. What I should do is cold outreach for any of the other companies that I'm trying to work on. But I want to hold off on that too. And basically, I think what I'll do moving forward, so Monday, like you'll see this, I'm about to pop all weekend, so you'll see my live streams, blah, blah, blah. Monday, though, I have been thinking about restarting the coffee company, so maybe I will restart doing that and show you, like fully walk you through the process of how I'm trying to get some sales. Look at this cute little deer. Oh wait, you can't see my phone. Try to show the camera my phone. I got a trail cam picture of a deer. Anyway, so yeah, I've been thinking about starting the coffee company back up because that was earning money, and I kind of dropped the ball on it because I just wasn't passionate about it, and I just didn't want to like push selling that, and there was, it was a whole thing, but I do think it's worth showing you guys the process, and like, to be honest, I want to show you how easy it was to make money off of, and if I would have kept pushing it, I guarantee you I would have made a good bit of money from it. I think I pivoted too fast. Like, one of the first things I did, I started the coffee company. I started getting some repeat sales and building a customer base. But the way I was marketing, I'll just tell you all about the company. Basically, it was called Diesel Coffee, and my whole plan was to start this dropship coffee company, push it on Instagram. So I was just going to add, and I spent like, a ton of time just adding basically any Instagram account that had like a profile picture as like a big diesel truck. So not necessarily like a tractor trailer, but like a pickup truck. And then the algorithm really kicked in, and they would suggest all these friends and blah, blah, blah. So I just added people, add. And then, I just started posting things diesel related, and of course I found the dropship coffee company. I built the labels, I made the flavors. He just had like 8 different beans, and he told you a little bit about the beans and what his names for them were, so I just renamed them. I renamed them the flavor names I wanted to go to, and so from there, basically all I did is start posting it on Instagram. I started, I got a couple of videos, like I just reached out to like these influencer people in the diesel space and was like, hey, let me give you a free bag of coffee, plug this on your Instagram. And it was crazy how easy it was to get people to be like, hell yeah. And they got, hundreds of thousands of followers. And so I was like, oh man, this is working. But it was still like, the crowd that I was getting was still on the younger side. So I'm talking like, they were probably 10 years younger than me. So maybe a little less than that. But I'd say they were between like 20 and, 26, something like that maybe. and they seemed definitely like less of the coffee crowd and more of the energy drink crowd. So I found an energy drink drop shipper. Actually, no. I didn't find an energy drink drop shipper, and that was probably my issue. I found an energy drink manufacturer and supplier. So the difference between a drop shipper and a manufacturer, the coffee guy, when I got orders of coffee, they would, basically the order comes to the coffee website, then it goes directly to him and his factory. He roasts the beans, he bags them, he puts my label on it. It says diesel turbo. Closes a bag of coffee, ships it off to my customer's address, and that's that. I never touch any coffee beans at all. All I do is manage a website and put advertising out there. I With the energy drink company, I just found a manufacturer, so all I could do was have them just ship me, a big quantity of energy drink, and then my plan was to ship it out myself, which would be totally fine. I definitely wouldn't mind shipping it out myself. Uh, but basically, I ordered, 3 cases of energy drink, which was like the minimum order. I ordered 3 like good sized cases, so I don't know, I didn't have that many cans, but I think there's a show. Man, all I remember is the energy drink's called Thunder Muscle. This guy's like in the UK trying to sell Thunder Muscle, so I guess I'm kind of like that guy. With like all these cases of energy drinks stuck around my house. But what I totally failed to factor in there was the cost of shipping on my end. So I basically was like, oh, this is a good idea. This is a great pivot. These people are going to love energy drink. And they definitely would have. And it definitely would have sold. But what I didn't factor in was like my cost. Then like I was already pretty high up there in cost, like versus like a Red Bull or something. And which I'm fine with. Being a little more expensive as a niche product is fine. But I didn't want to be crazy much more expensive. And then when I included shipping, even like within my state, it was wild. And I'm like, all right, well, nobody's going to pay this. Nobody's going to like double the amount of money they're paying for a drink to cover the cost of shipping. So unfortunately, I kind of I didn't have to, but I definitely did. And I think I got a little disheartened because I was so stupid and I didn't see that, I didn't see that coming, which I should have. And I think I was just kind of like, well, I'm a dummy. And I set it down for like a week. And, I should have kept plugging away and just selling the coffee. And not even worried about the energy drink. But yeah, as soon as that like big time flopped on me, I was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I lost interest or what. Really don't know what happened. I just kind of stopped doing it. And of course, I was, 60 hours deep weekly, at other companies and all that. I had a ton going on at that time. And, I was driving to freaking Lorton, Virginia every day, which is like easily 4 hours round trip. So my time was pretty well soaked up. But I do wish that I would have continued that because I think it was fun at the very least. And like, it was so easy. And I really would like to show you guys how it was going and how I did it. And I want to show you that you can basically, diesel and like the diesel truck scene when I was like, 19 to 20, I was never like crazy into it, but I did have a buddy who I spent a lot of time with who was really, really into it. And like, I do drive a diesel truck, but I'm not like, a crazy diesel head, like spending thousands of dollars on all this stuff to make my truck fast or whatever. Or higher up in the air and blah, blah, blah. I just have a pretty stock truck. But I at least was comfortable enough in that space to speak the language, if you will, and know what, kind of gets everybody going in that space. So, that's why I chose that niche because I was like, there's a broad range of people. There's a lot of people here that are interested in it. And I can talk to these people. I think I can market well to them. And so that's what I did. So you got to think of on your own end, what is it that, like what niche could you think of? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a coffee company, but let's say you're going to start a coffee company. What niche are you comfortable in that you can like take a product that already exists, so like coffee, take this product and then, build your own brand around that product. So again, we're using the example of coffee. So build a brand and think about what niche are you comfortable in? What space do you know pretty well? Like, are you into, motorcycles? Are you a florist? Are you into flowers? You can do hibiscus blend, you can do rose blend, that type of stuff. And then it's as simple as, at least for me, it was as simple as, like getting on Instagram, finding people that are passionate about it. You'd be blown away. Like any passion at all, there's somebody with the profile picture, or there's hundreds and thousands of people with the profile picture of exactly what it is. Like if you like sailboating, if you like fishing, you can build a niche brand around that. And really all you got to do is invoke the emotions of that action. So let's say fishing, invoke the emotions of fishing. Well, with your marketing, when you're selling that cup of coffee, tell people that drinking this cup of coffee is like, the feeling when that bobber first hits the water at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the ripples go out through the pond. You'll feel the ripples going out through your body as this, bobber hits your water. Just, that's all you gotta do. Just invoke the emotions of, drinking this coffee feels like a 6 a.m. fishing trip. And then people will buy it. It's that simple, really. And, then move on. You got 8 flavors. Invoke the feeling of, invoke the feeling of an evening fishing trip on the next one. Invoke the feeling of an ocean fishing trip. Invoke the feeling of a river fishing trip. I think you get the general idea. You're bringing feeling into it. And, and it worked. And I think it will work for any niche at all. So either I should start the coffee thing back up with diesel coffee, because at least I already had followers on there and people posting about it. And, or I don't know, it's also tempting because I'm going to be doing this show every morning. I'm going to have time to do it anyway. It's tempting to just pick another niche. And, I'm sure I could still use the same dropshipper. I'd have to show you guys the process of how I made each label and each flavor. The only thing is, you got to make a website to accept these orders on. That was really the biggest challenge of the whole thing. I'm extremely tech challenged as far as building a website goes. So that was definitely the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome with that company. And I don't even know if the website's still active. I'll have to look and see. If it's not, I should really just pick a new niche. If it is, I'll just show you guys basically how I went about doing it, and we'll just spend a couple days, just marketing, and I'll bet you that I can pick that thing back up, and we can get some sales like week 1. But anyway, so it's just something to think about. Like drop shipping is like, everybody talks about drop shipping now. It's super like now, as if I was doing it before everyone was talking about it. I definitely wasn't. I found out about it from YouTube. But it's definitely very saturated. So don't think that we're like pioneering any industries, but it does work. And maybe it's not like as hot and as easy as it was before. Before it was like a well-known thing to do, but still definitely works. And it's one of those things you can strictly work from home, from your computer, and do it. So if that's what you're looking for, start small. Start with the coffee, and there's nothing saying that you can't, go into a bunch of other products as well. So something to think about. So yesterday, I was able to get my wholesale order done. So I had a small wholesale order, but that was the whole thing. My wife left. I was outside popping, and she left. She had some errands to run. And I guess what it really was the dog locked the door. So I had left something inside for the popcorn. It was the salt that I needed for the popcorn. So I made the first batch. It was sitting in the tray waiting to get salted. I was going in, and I guess the dogs were like leaning up against the door looking at me, and one of them flipped the lock on the door, so I was locked out. And so that really slowed the entire day down, the entire process of getting all the popcorn done, because I was locked out for a good while. Trying to get everything done. And so anyway, I ended up I finished the wholesale order like 8:30. So after I cut this stream, which probably won't be too much longer, I'm gonna go out and I am going to I'll pop a second flavor, and then I'll wash the tray again, get out there, get set up. I will probably live stream that pop if I can get it figured out on my phone. Yesterday I was thinking about doing it, but I was obviously locked out and it was a huge pain. I was frustrated, so didn't do it. But today I would like to live stream, and if not today, I will be on at some point over the weekend doing a live stream and show you guys how I'm doing this, just sitting on the road, and how many customers actually do show up. And I will consider what I'm going to do Monday, but I want to do something that's going to be valuable for you guys. And I think maybe building a coffee company or a dropship company of some sort would be, at least it would be fun for you guys to see. If not, I'm going to do like a cold outreach campaign, and I'm going to build something that hopefully can help you guys as you're trying to do any type of outreach at all. I'll show you guys how I do it. Hopefully give you the motivation to go build whatever outreach campaign that you need to build, because that's kind of key. Getting out there every day, asking people, taking the long shots, asking people to buy your product or have a look at your product or ask for a meeting or whatever. Tell you what else we definitely need to do. I need to be doing cold outreach for clients. I need to be doing cold outreach for entrepreneurs to be coming on the radio show as well, because I've got probably less than 15 days now to get my next interview up for the AM radio show, and I've been asking around. I haven't really got too much of a response, so I'm gonna have to start doing some cold outreach on that. So we'll have that to look forward to Monday. Over the weekend is just gonna be popping, and Monday's my birthday, so we'll do a show then, and I may. Oh no, I can't. I can't pop on Monday. It would be great though, because it's Memorial Day, so that would be a really successful day, I imagine, because everybody's headed to a barbecue, and it'd be great to bring some popcorn, but can't do it. Got an engagement party, but no worries. I'll do it at some point. So anyway, if y'all don't catch the streams over the weekend or later today, I appreciate y'all watching. I hope you enjoyed. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to drop it in the comments here of what you want to see, what you guys want to work on, or what you want to talk about. Give me a shout, and I'm happy to talk. So again, I want to thank you so much for your time. This is the Internet Morning Entrepreneur, and we'll talk soon.